everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back once again to react to a Lions fan mock draft. This is a 7-round mock. This is the 4th mock draft that we're going to react to. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out Dose Dion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know Dose Dion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to the video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, this is episode number 4 of Mocking the Mock, Detroit Lions edition. Hey, that sounded kind of cool. That sounded like a TV show or something. So we're back for this again. And this one comes from my man, Burrell. I don't know exactly how to say your name. I'm going to go with Burrell, though. I know you've been following for a while because I noticed like your profile pic stuff. But shout out to my man. He sent me this, and he came with this caption. He said, "Sorry, Dylan. This is the best one, basically without trades." You remember how Dylan or Hungry Panda, this is Hungry Panda, he said that he had the best draft without trades? Well, now Burrell comes back at me and says, "Hey, hold up. This is the best one without trades." So we're going to see what it is. So let me know down below which one you think is better. If you haven't seen the one with Dylan's mock draft, go check it out. I think it's the second one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the second one. So go check that out and then watch this one and let me know what you think. Again, I'm going to try to keep this one shorter. Last time I said that, we still went 30 minutes. So I'm going to do my best not to over-explain. Try to have less cuts because I do cut in and cut out. So, hey, okay, if I leave out something, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to make this shorter for your benefit. Okay, let's do it. So with the 7th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Penei Sewell. Oh, snap. You weren't ready for that. You were not ready for that. That was a curveball. Threw a complete curveball at you there. I like it. So Penei Sewell is number 7 to Detroit Lions. He used the PFF mock draft simulator. Now, okay, obviously when I see this, I'm like, okay, I don't think Penei Sewell falls out of the top 5. I mean, I think there's like 3 teams in the top 5 that could definitely take him. So I don't see him falling out of the top 5. But if he did on the simulator and he's there, you could take him. You know, you take what the simulator gives you. And he decided to take Penei Sewell. Now, we'll talk about if I think he could fit this offense or not. But let's talk about who he is first as a player. Coming in at 6'5", 325 pounds, he opted out of the 2020 college football season. He is looked at as the best tackle in this draft. He was given the award for the best offensive lineman in college football. It's a great blend between power, size, athleticism. I mean, he kind of has it all. Right now, he looks like he could be an NFL player. Now, some of the issues are he hasn't won against, maybe the top talent at the college football level, and he also opted out last season. So we haven't got to see him a ton, but when we have seen him against the competition that he's won against, he's been pretty much dominant. There really hasn't been any kind of lows. I mean, there's not that many major concerns. I'll talk about the concerns more than what I like because there's just not that many. At times, I can see him lose balance at the next level when he's working to block at the second level. Good at it. Sometimes I see him lose balance out there, but I get it at that size. Also, sometimes he doesn't, stay connected when run blocking. I've noticed that as well. Like he doesn't always get to finish on the play. And, the guy that he initially gets the first contact with can kind of break off of it. And finally, his hand placement can be a little questionable. Sometimes he gets too far outside. It really hurt him against Auburn. Derek Brown was one of those guys that, did pretty well against that. And also, very few times, sometimes speed rushers can get the edge on him with really good bend. I don't think he's the strongest offensive tackle I've seen. I don't think he's the most powerful guy. I mean, he'll run people over. Don't get me wrong. He's super powerful. He's up there. I don't think he's the strongest one, though. And I think that's why hand placement can sometimes be an issue because, if he gets too far outside, it allows defensive linemen with a lot of power to get a push on him inside, and it can really push him back. So look, his production's great. He's only allowed like 7 pressures in like his entire career, which is just absolutely absurd. But I don't think he's the most powerful player, so I think he'll have to work on some of the techniques and things like that. But think about it, he hasn't played that much. I mean, he really hasn't. I mean, he was dominating as a sophomore. He hasn't played that much. None of those concerns are like major concerns for me because they show up very sparingly. But for the most part, his production is incredible. He's very aware for stunts. He can block it to the second level. He's super athletic. I mean, for his size, the guy is a giant. I mean, 6'5", 325 pounds. The way that this guy can move is outstanding. Zone running plays, it's pulling as a tackle, it's hopping out the screens, which he did a lot with Oregon. It's his lateral quickness and movement at his size, and that's why people say, wow, he's the best offensive lineman in a decade or something. I don't know. Okay, I don't know all the offensive linemen like that. I won't say that. I don't know. I mean, he's not perfect, right? So I don't really know. But I can tell you this, man, it's his movement, I think, for his size is what gets people so excited about what he can be. Very quick off the snap. He gets himself in a really good position. Off the snap and pass protection, he gets himself in a really good spot so he's able to square his shoulders. He's just oh man, he just looks like he can start in the NFL right away. So I get why people are saying he's the best tackle. Also, they were a very screen-heavy offense, so you didn't get to see a lot of pure one-on-ones as much as maybe you'd like to. And like I said, didn't play against, some of the top-tier competition, so you don't exactly know, how he would do against some of the best rushers. Brown got a couple of plays on him a few times. Hey, Wisconsin got a couple of plays on him a few times. Zach Vaughn was on that defense. And since they run so many screens, like I said, you see a little bit less one-on-ones, but you do get to see how athletic and how agile he can be in open space, blocking guys downfield. Speed rushers are not an issue for him. I mean, you'll see linebackers, corners, safeties, and somehow he can keep up with them. I mean, his technique, hand placement, things like that could use a little work, but he took last season off. Always seems to be trying to block somebody. He always seems to find somebody. If there's no one on him, if he's free, he's going to go help him block someone, whether that's someone, go double team a defensive lineman, or let's go find someone else. Downfield blocking, he'll try into the linebackers and heck, even to the secondary. I mean, he'll run those dudes over. I mean, he'll absolutely run over second and third level players. Now, sometimes he can get kind of juked out there a little bit by linebackers, things like that. Wow. Blocking to the next level for that big of a dude. How would he fit the Detroit Lions? That's the question. Let's say hypothetically he falls to the Lions and you select him. How does he fit? Well, that's the issue, right? We have Taylor Decker at left tackle. Now, Penei Sewell did play right tackle in high school, so there is that background if you want to try to move him. Taylor Decker also played right tackle in college, not with the Lions, but in college. Early in college, he switched to left tackle, but early in college, he played right tackle. Obviously, they can't both play left tackle. So if you selected Penei Sewell, you would have to figure out how you're going to do the offensive line. Who's the best where? Decker's coming off of maybe his best season after he got paid at left tackle, which was impressive. I wouldn't want to move him. But Penei Sewell, do you really want to draft? Do you really want to draft a lineman, the first lineman off the board, and move his position? Now, some people say, well, he could play guard. He probably could play guard. He's very talented, but I think he's the best at tackle. So you could consider moving in right tackle because he did it at high school, but that would be the only issue. That would be the biggest issue with this. Plus, at that point, if they played both tackle position, Big V would then move to guard. And if he started at guard, I don't know where the role would be for Logan Stenberg. I guess he would just be a backup, or he could compete with Big V and see if he would take that job. But if he takes Big V's job, now you got to figure out what we're going to do with Big V. At least for now, you keep him on the roster, but down the road, you'll have to figure out how to move him. But either way, awesome value. I mean, I've really contemplated this myself of would I take Penei Sewell if he's there. It's almost hard to not land like a top tier tackle. Like, oh my goodness, him and Taylor Decker, I mean, and Frank Ragnow, that's like a big three for the future. Plus Jordan Jackson, Logan's potential, Big V's locked up. So I'm just saying, I mean, let me know what y'all think. But my man went with an off the tackle, went a little off the rails with this one. Not something that you necessarily expect, but he definitely got a talented player, Marquise Fell. All right, so let's move to the second round with the 39th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. The Detroit Lions select Jabril Cox, the linebacker out of LSU. Now, I got to say, I think a lot of people are starting to mock Jabril Cox to the Detroit Lions, and man, that's because he's fun to watch. He's such a silky smooth type of player. Okay, that's a good way to
Today, Junior.
With North Dakota State put up this outstanding production. I mean, he was great, graded out so well, so great as a pass coverage linebacker, and he was very productive. And then he goes to LSU in his final season of college football. So he goes to LSU and he plays really well again. Not as well, maybe he had a little bit more bumps in the road, but against that type of competition to switch schemes like that and play as well as he did, you saw him be able to play in two different defenses and be successful. It's impressive. Standing at 6'3", 231 pounds, is again a really good fit for today's NFL. I mean, it's about 15 more pounds than Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, so, he's a little bit less of a safety. His biggest weakness is run defense, just being impactful in the run game. That's his biggest weakness. For the most part, for today's NFL, you think he fit very well. Plus, for the Lions, he would give you a different look at linebacker. What do I like about him? Well, I like a couple things that I like about him in college. First off, at LSU, you saw him play a lot of different linebacker positions. Way more versatile in college than I think he will be in the NFL. I think he's going to be an outside linebacker. Also, his ability in coverage. I mean, that's the most fun thing about him because he has had over 800 snaps at the slot position in 2 seasons with North Dakota State. A little bit less with LSU, but his ability in coverage is pretty awesome. Okay, like he's not a safety in coverage, but he's pretty darn close to it. I think what impresses me so much is that on short routes, underneath routes, is that he can keep his head and eyes on the quarterback while staying in coverage. Doesn't look very stressed out trying to play man coverage. So you can put him in man coverage on tight ends, on running backs. You can drop in his zone. He has a pretty good feel for zone. He's pretty aware of everything that's going on, but it's just his ability to keep his head up and see the entire field while he's in coverage. And of course, he has the athleticism to cover pretty much anyone that they're going to throw at him. I mean, the guy has covered slot receivers, okay? So you know he has athleticism. Now, he's not as quick as an Owusu Koromora. He's more just smooth, okay? He's not super twitchy to his game, and I don't think he has that kind of top end speed either. So he's just like a bigger, slower safety, I guess you could say. I don't know. In the run game, yes, he doesn't put up the most production. I just don't think he's a very physical player in terms that he seeks for contact. He's looking to run over a linebacker. It's just not his mindset. That's not who he is. He's a very, I would say, more finesse type of linebacker, but in the run game, he does a really good job of slipping through the lanes. I mean, just a really good job. Kind of waiting for it to clear, and then he's just super slippery. Just kind of slips right through there, and he's able to make a play in the backfield. But of course, even though he's not super twitchy, he still is very athletic, and he make plays on the outside at his size. He's just not Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah type of twitch. You see his production, you see the versatility, and you know how well he is in coverage for a linebacker group, Lions last season, that really struggled in coverage, and kind of what today's game is going to. This would be a really cool linebacker to add to our defense. I love me some Jabril Cox. I know his run defense isn't his strongest suit. He's very much an average tackler in terms of, missed tackles. Like I said, it's really just the way that he approaches things. It's just kind of his play style. He's just not a super physical player. But he's definitely the type of guy that you would love to have for passing downs. There's no question about that. Now, one thing is at LSU, who wasn't used to go after the quarterback that much, I didn't see him blitz that often, at least from what I saw. He only actually totaled 1 sack on the season with LSU. But he gets tackles for loss. I think that's because he's very slippery at, kind of sliding through those holes and reading the holes against the run. Now, at North Dakota State, he definitely piled up more sacks. They're just really difficult to find North Dakota State on him. So, I mean, his pass rush grade is really good, so I'm assuming he'll be fine as a pass rusher. Maybe not athlete, maybe not an elite pass rusher, but I think he'll be good enough. I think he'll be good at it to give you the threat. Now, when I say he's not super twitchy to his quickness, he doesn't really have, I don't think, always the closing speed that you would hope. I see him on the outside, not really able to kind of close and kind of like warp himself towards the runner. He's kind of a little bit slow, and like I said, I don't think he has that top end speed. So I don't think he's very twitchy and quick for maybe you would hope for his size, but I definitely think he's a very fluid, smooth player. Always seems to have his head up, can see the backfield at the same time with whatever task he's responsible for, and it helps him make plays in the backfield, and it also helps him come up with interceptions, pass breakups, things like that in the coverage. Defense will be his biggest question, but I don't think as a tackler, that's where you'll question him as much. You'll question him in terms of setting the edge, how impactful will he be on inside rushing plays, and maybe some of that closing gap speed. I think I did notice that working as an edge, he can be pretty consistent at setting the edge. That's one thing I'll see him get sucked in way too often. And like I said, not being a super physical player, you get him matched up against an interior offensive line when he's in the inside, he's pretty much going to get completely muscled out of the play once he gets picked up. So, that's just who he is. It's just the kind of player that he is. But he's not going to have much issues with coverage coming right in. And he's not super grabby. He's not all over, the guy. Like when I watched Dylan Moses, he was kind of all over him. Cox, keeps his distance, just runs with him, watches the quarterback, and he looks super comfortable in the situations. Yes, at times did he get beat? Of course he got beat. At times he did. Everybody does. Sometimes he slips and falls. Sometimes a double move will get him. But for the most part, he just looks super comfortable in that position, and that's where he's best. And like I said, for the Lions, it'd be a different type of linebacker, but also an area we really struggle, which is pass coverage. And he'd be a really nice third down player, I think, for sure. So Cox is his second round pick. That moves us on to the third round. With the 71st pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Tyler Shelvin, defensive lineman, LSU. Let's keep going with the Tigers. At 6'2", 346 pounds. An A-gap defensive lineman that you would think at the next level could definitely be a nose tackle in 3-4 or 3-3-5, whatever it is. If you need a nose tackle for your defense, Tyler Shelvin has the size to play nose tackle. What do I like about his game? First off, the biggest thing to me about his game is his heart. And what do I mean by that? Oh, well, can you see his insides? No, stop. Pause. But plays with so much heart. I mean, this guy just never stops. You could say his motor's always on, but I'll say this, man. You got plays that are 15, 20 yards away. Most people give up on those plays. I'm not going to be involved anyways. I'll just chill back here. Especially a 350-pound defensive tackle. He's going to give up on that play. Not Shelvin. I see Shelvin running it down, he's going at it. He's giving everything he's got. And it's like, man, you're not going to make the play. But he tries. He's always moving. I don't see him give up on plays. That is the biggest thing I took away from his game. And you have to love the heart. And I absolutely love that. He's also got pretty strong hands. Oh, my gosh. He's very powerful upside. Brandon Dickerson, who is a top offensive lineman against Alabama. And what a battle did they have, for sure. Let's say that. But there was many times where he was able to win that battle. He showed a lot of strength. Could get him on his back foot. Could get him moving backwards. I mean, with that type of size, this guy demands double teams in the inside. Usually when you have three defensive linemen, two people are probably getting double teamed unless you bring linebackers. he needs that double team because single team, he can overpower an interior offensive lineman. And that guy liked it because he's going against the best talent, right? At Bama, he's going against, at LSU, he's going against some of the best, interior offensive linemen in the country. Can flash, like I said, when he's single team, this guy will flash off every once in a while, get to the backfield, but for the most part, he's not going to give you pretty much anything as a pass rusher. I mean, really, like nothing. I don't see anything as pass rusher. Really doesn't have any pass rush moves. I saw one, kind of, he would use a few times, he would rip through, kind of rip through, but that was it. I mean, I really didn't see many pass rush moves in his game. He wasn't very impactful on passing plays. Actually, he was so unimpactful that on passing downs, he came out the field. On third downs, he wasn't on the field. They go their pass rush guys. So he was an early down, run stuffing defensive tackle that gave tons of effort, and I absolutely like that. Now, there are some concerns. He does need to watch his weight. At one point, he was over 370 pounds, and that can happen with those nose tackles. They know how big they have to be, but sometimes, you can get a little bit too big. Also, I did see him have to rotate in and out, not just on third downs, but also probably because he had to go catch his breath. I mean, look, he plays with so much heart, and he gives so much effort. I can see why he's tired, but you do wonder, how many plays I can get out of this guy a game, at least early until maybe he works his stamina up or builds it up. But how many plays can I get out of him in a game? Again, not an impact player on passing downs really whatsoever. Didn't play last season either. Now, for him, it's all about leverage. I think as a run defender, sometimes he does lose leverage. There's some inconsistency issues with there. When he's able to win the leverage battle, able to get lower than his offensive lineman, he can be very dominant. It's at times you'll see him get too high, he'll stand up too tall, and then he's getting pushed back 3 to 4 yards. You don't want to have that from your nose tackle. For him, it's all about leverage, because he has the strength to definitely play, and he definitely has the heart. It's just a leverage battle for him to be going against some of the top tier offensive linemen. So it's going to be about leverage, just continuing to stay low. Okay, don't stand up, and that probably has to do with stamina. I feel like when you're tired, you stand up. But for him, that's what's going to be the biggest thing. So that also has maybe do watching his weight, but just really building that stamina up as a player. The big question I have with this one is exactly how this would fit in our defense. That's the main question I have. So if you're watching this video, if you could answer that in the comment section below. But here's my confusion personally. All right, so let's say you're a 3-3-5, 3-4, whatever it is. You need a nose tackle. Think he can fit that 100%. You have Danny Shelton still under contract. So let's say, you keep Danny Shelton. Well, definitely don't see a spot for him. But let's say you don't keep Danny Shelton. Okay, now I kind of see what you're saying here, but I do believe John Penisini will be the next guy up to take over that nose tackle role at 330 pounds, and I think he's a really good run stuffer, what we saw last season. So that's a little bit of my confusion. Since he doesn't really give you an impact on passing downs, he's not different enough from John Penisini. If you're talking 4-3, maybe if he can slim down maybe a little bit more, as he continues to get a little bit stronger, quicker, if he slimmed down a little bit more, then he could fit possibly in a 4-3. But again, the issue to me would be he doesn't impact on passing downs. So that's the issue. So where I'm a little bit worried about this one, because even if I cut Shelton, say for example, but then I have John Penisini and I have this guy playing in a 4-3, neither of those guys are pass rushing threats. Yes, they're big run cloggers, and I think they'd be cool in like goal line situations, early downs. I love that, but I don't really have a passing threat than the inside. So that's only my confusion. Let me know what you think about that. Because let's say even on passing downs, you only have 3 defensive linemen out there. Who is the guy that I'm putting in to get that through the quarterback? Okay, I think Nick Williams is going to be cut. So I don't know who I'm putting there. Is it Jayshon Cornell? But then I'm kind of fighting between John Penisini and Tyler Shelton. I'm not against having depth. He played more as the nose tackle with LSU. So if you did want to slim him down, try to make him more of a 4-3 guy with Penisini, then I guess if your thought is that they're going to clog up a lot of those guys in the interior and it's going to open up one-on-ones to the outside, I get that part of it. I do, so I can kind of see what you're going with there. It's not bad, but then I got to figure out who's that pass rushing specialist. Do I just bump Trey Flowers into the inside? What am I doing there? Is that Cornell? I almost think that you could wait a little bit potentially on getting a pure run stuffing defensive nose tackle, because that's what we did last year with Penisini. I think that's a pick you could wait upon. I think you can wait upon bringing a nose tackle. I don't think it has to be in the 3rd round. I think it's good to have depth. I have no issue with that, especially if Shelton's gone. He saves some money. He needs some depth. I get that. I would probably, though, consider waiting a little bit longer if I'm going to go nose tackle, because I already have Penisini. Maybe more in the pass rushing attack. I get going this early. He just doesn't give me enough of it. So that's my only gripe about this one. What do you think? He's a good, I like watching him, though, play. I love watching him play. But he can stuff the run, and I just love the way that he plays. I love his heart, man. And I don't say that about every player. I love it. That's the biggest thing that stood out to me. That's impressive. So that is the 71st pick. That moves us on to the 88th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. And hey, why not run it back? Why not just run it back with the same player that we talked about yesterday? Monroe St. Brown. Still don't know how to say his name. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. He's 6'1", 195 pounds. Not going to go into this one too much because we literally talked about him so much yesterday. But a quick little breakdown, things I like. He's versatile. He can play slot, play outside. He played slot early in his college career, bumped to outside later. Maybe gave you a little bit less production. He's not going to give you the most separation. Doesn't have those traits of a big physical guy, the super fast guy, super twitchy. But for the most part, he's a very, very reliable pass pass catcher. He's like an acrobat when the ball is up in the air. You can rely on this guy to consistently come down and bring the ball down with him, and he's going to give you production. He makes a lot of guys miss in open space, not because he's the fastest, but because he is pretty sudden. You know, he can absolutely stop on a dime in the open field, and I love it, and I do like the way that he blocks. He has a nice attitude towards it, but the biggest question is his athletic ceiling. I know that he's going to be a reliable target day one. The question is, can he become my number one at some point, right? How high can this guy's ceiling get as a receiver? How dynamic can he really be as a receiver? He's a screen threat in pass catching and in blocking because he's done both. He's a good player, and he's a deep threat because he finds a way to adjust the football. He hasn't been able to just rely on separation at the college level, so you are a little bit concerned about that. He's had to find ways to still be impactful. He's a nice route runner. He's nice when the ball's in his hands, and, he's a really good pass catcher, so I have to love it. Does have a few drops, probably concentration things like focus, but it's not like the amount of drops that I've seen some other guys have. But his biggest strength is making contested grabs, strong hands, finding a way to come down with the football at whatever cost. After watching more of St. Brown, I think I like him a little bit more as a slot right away in terms of immediate impact and production. I think if you want to play more specifically as an outside receiver, you could bulk up a little bit, but I like him more as a slot right away, so this could be a great Amendola replacement. Plus, he has the versatility to play outside. I mean, he doesn't have to get bigger. He could play outside right now and still be really good. Not saying he's bad outside. I think he'll be even more productive, though, in the slot right away. I don't know if Golladay comes back. I don't know if you sign one as an undrafted free agent, but I think I like him a little bit more right away as a slot. However, he can do both, no question. I do like that about St. Brown. It gives us our first receiver. I don't know. He didn't tell us what's going to happen in free agency, like what he projects. No, but it does give us a receiver, which we're probably going to need regardless of what happens in free agency. And that moves us on to pick number 112, the second to last pick in this draft. And at pick number 112, the Detroit Lions select a quarterback. What? Jamie Newman out of Wake Forest and Georgia. Standing at 6'4", 230 pounds, Jamie Newman falls late in this mock draft. There are parts of his game that I like, but for the most part, I don't know who is available on the board at 112. Definitely would have Kellen Mond if he's still there. Don't know if he will be. He may have pushed his stock up too high. Let's talk about what I do like. He's mobile. He runs very hard. You will see this guy literally truck people. He actually trucked Chaz Surratt, Sage Surratt's brother, so that was kind of cool when they played each other. I thought that was pretty funny. He actually knocked his helmet off, running him into the end zone. Give the opportunity for receivers. He's not afraid to give an opportunity to a receiver, put it up for grabs. He trusts his receivers, very, very trust. He has a lot of really good trust in his receivers, which is going to be very beneficial at the next level. I like his feel for pressure. I mean, some people knock it for it. I think he has a really good feel for pressure, kind of senses it. He's not super creative. He's not like a Manziel or a Zach Wilson in the pocket where he's like running around in circles, make guys miss. But I do think he has a pretty good sense of when the pressure is there to step up when he needs to. When there is a clean pocket, he is pretty solid with his ball placement. I would say deep routes, he very good at keeping the ball away from the defender in a clean pocket. Make that clear. And also like very short underneath routes, low and away, doesn't put it where the defender can get it. So he has that grasp. Okay, you're going to have your receivers understand that, but that's what he's going to do. He's going to put it away from the defender. However, there are some issues with his game. First off, he stares down his number one target so long. I mean, there are certain plays, not every play, of course, but there are certain plays where this guy will literally look at one spot the entire time. And that's with no pressure. He just stares there. And I'm like, okay, guys, you're looking. And there's so many times he'll miss wide open guys over the middle just staring at one spot of the field. He also usually knows where he's going before he snaps the football, which isn't a bad thing, but it turns into a bad thing when you still throw the ball when it's not open. And you're like, ooh, yeah, that wasn't there, but you still throw it up anyways. Under pressure, I'm really worried about his game. Under pressure seems like a complete mess. All right, when he's under pressure, man, every ball seems to sail. He throws so many passes way too far when he's under pressure. I don't know what it is. I don't know, because it's kind of a guy in his face, so he just flicks it even harder. His intermediate accuracy, can be a little shaky sometimes. And one biggest thing, I think this was the biggest takeaway, honestly, from his game, was that when Sage Surratt went down, that he took he plummeted. I mean, his last 4 games were bad, really bad, without Sage Surratt. He really needed Sage Surratt to be a really good player. That was his guy. I mean, when in doubt, he threw it up to Surratt. And Surratt made a lot of nice plays. I almost think this shows the value of Sage Surratt and how actually maybe underrated Sage Surratt is, and how much I may have underrated how impactful he is as a receiver. Surratt is a heck of a player. He is a heck of a player. I just don't love Jamie Newman. I get the intangibles. Hey, he's mobile. He's got good size. He has a pretty big arm. But, man, there's going to need to be some really, really good coaching off the seams. I have no issues taking a quarterback. No issues with it. And I understand you look for certain things late. So if you want, the traits, it's there. and he's a competitor. I'll give him that. He's definitely a competitor. So I like those two things. Off the side, definitely can benefit from sitting down, and just maybe with the physical traits. But I really don't see it right now. But again, maybe with the right coaching, he does give you that. So we'll see. But he definitely had a rough finish to his career, which kind of pushed him down a little bit. And that moves us on to our final pick in this draft, which is pick number 152. This is a running back. Thank you, my guy, for giving me a running back. And guess what? He took a Buckeye. That's right. You know who it is. It is Master Teague. No, I'm playing. But y'all thought, did you? No. All right. It's Trey Sermon. 6 foot, 222 pounds, running back out of Ohio State. I mean, guys, this is like the most weird prospect I've watched so far. He's just so weird, man. All right. You watch him before the last, 3 games that he plays, and he's like, okay, yeah, he's average. He's somewhat, he's okay. I mean, somewhat involved in the offense. But, man, talk about taking advantage of the opportunity. This guy was given an opportunity to be the workhorse with Master Teague out. And oh my gosh, did he do that. 20 plus, 30 plus carries. And this guy absolutely exploded. I think the biggest thing for me was, first off, confidence. And why do I say that? Because he was way, way less hesitant when he started to get tons of carries against Clemson Northwestern. He would hesitate, and he was kind of slow to pick a hole early in his career. Some of the earlier games against Nebraska, even going back to Oklahoma, he was a very hesitant type of player. But then when he got his opportunity, you're talking 20 plus, 30 plus in the 2 games against Northwestern and Clemson. This guy was not hesitating whatsoever. Now, credit to the offensive line, they balled out. I know he played against some good rushing defense, both in the top 50 of college football, but the offensive line was giving him some great gaps. Then again, credit to him for finding the holes and not waiting. This guy just explodes through the holes in the last couple of games, and it was so fun to watch. Now, he was injured against Bama on his first carry, but his mom did say that it was not serious. Came to bell cow. The guy fell forward after every time he took a hit. This guy was lunging forward. He broke tons of tackles late in the season. I mean, he took advantage of the opportunity, and he looked like a stud. He looked like a stud because he's not extremely fast. He's not the most evolved as a pass catcher. It's just so hard to bring down. He ran so tough. He always fell forward, and he just dominated. I mean, as simple as that, he dominated, but I think it was just he wasn't hesitant. He wasn't thinking. He was just, give me the ball and go. I mean, at times, it was like he was forcing the ball out of Fields' hands. It's an option for the quarterback. They kind of decide, and then they keep it. No, he was like, give me the ball. There was times where he was trying to take the ball from him. I mean, that guy wanted the ball. He just said, get out of my way. No more thinking, I'm going. So for whatever reason, when he got his opportunity, I don't know if someone told him or he's like, man, I just got to go do it. He did it. So big credit to him. Maybe his speed. Also, he runs kind of tall at times. I think he's a pretty tall running back, but he doesn't always stay low. He can kind of stand straight up. Can struggle at times early off the run, in the backfield, making guys miss. About once he gets going downhill. I actually saw his agility really look pretty good in his last couple games, bouncing things to the outside. But again, there was no hesitation. He was just gone. He knew what he wanted to do. He got the ball, didn't think, and he went. All right, that's how it was. He just played. He just looked like he was having fun out there. And that was when he was at his best. And once he gets going downhill, he's tough. Because arm tackles don't bring him down. Hey, Sermon, this guy's stock absolutely flew up. Because think about it, if he didn't have those big games, would this guy even get drafted? Probably not. But he's given the opportunity with an injury. He took advantage of it, and that's how you take advantage of the spotlight. And man, I'm telling you, if he plays like he did in his last couple games, I would like to have him, for sure, because it was just about just not hesitating. It was just go. It was just go. It was just go. And he got to show off how good he really feels like he could be as a bell cow running back. Those numbers aren't normal for college football running backs. They're not. 2 games like that where he had over 240 yards and over 300. My goodness. My goodness. Not super productive in the passing game, but, I don't think he's the most polished runner. I'm going to say that. I like some other running backs better. I don't put him over a Javonte Williams or something like that. I don't think he's the short area or goal line type of rushing threat that maybe a Ramondre Stevenson is. Maybe a Adrian Peterson was last season. Now, maybe Kerryon gives you some of that, but I do think he should have some athleticism. I mean, heck, I've seen Kerryon jump over the pile before, so maybe Sermon could do that. I think he shows some athleticism, trying to jump over people. That was fun to watch. So some of his stop and start ability, which is kind of like his quick cuts out of the backfield to work his way to the outside. I think he was pretty good on the fly. Plus, he's got a pretty mean stiff arm, okay? This dude, he's got a mean stiff arm when he's running downhill. Downhill runner, for sure. So overall, man, I think here's the thing. Penei Sewell, you got to figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to move the offensive line around. But you can't be mad at it, because the value is incredible. Jabril Cox, definitely linebacker's a huge need. I think he's a definitely different type of linebacker. Not the best in run defense, but as a pass defender, he's really good, and he can even bump to the slot if you need him to. Just such a smooth player, has a really good feel for everything. Tyler Shelvin, you definitely have to have a pass rushing, backup you can throw in there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, definitely like the pick. We talked about yesterday, I think he's a very talented, kind of overlooked receiver because he doesn't have those, great high-end traits. But, man, he's talented. He's really reliable, and I love him as a receiver. Jamie Newman. don't like the pick that much. I'm going to be honest with you. I love the quarterback idea. Don't love the quarterback as much, but I will say this. I like the fact that you took one, and I think the traits are there. To me personally, he's just not my kind of guy. But if he is to you, I get it. I do get it. And I think it was a solid selection for someone that could develop because he does have traits. And finishing it off with Trey Sermon, I think was a really nice pick as well. Very heavy offensive draft, that's for sure. So, 4 of your 6 picks for offensive players. The only defense players you got was Tyler Shelvin and Jabril Cox. So it'll be important that in free agency, you'll probably find maybe another safety, definitely some cornerback depth as well, and probably another linebacker. So those will be focuses, but the offense looks solid. I would say probably go sign an undrafted free agent receiver, grab me another one there because I think there's going to be some that maybe slip through. Heck, maybe an undrafted free agent cornerback does as well. So yeah, what do you guys think of the draft? I like it. It's unique. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.